TCU Horned Frogs. 48 Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, David Pollock, and Jesse Palmer with me. Guys, it's time to get it going. Houston about to kick off to get things underway. And he takes this from inside the 5. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. So TCU's offense will go on the attack first. This wide receiver matchup is one that we've been waiting to see. You have two guys on either side, Jesse, who are really going to make the secondaries nervous.
Oh, they should, because these guys can take the top off a defense. You've got two very dynamic individuals playing on each offense, and if I'm playing quarterback in this game for either team, I am going to take my shots and give my guy an opportunity, because both of these guys, David, have proven they can make circus-level catches.
I mean, when they're not open, they're open. I mean, they can make the dynamic catches, the contested catches. They have the speed. They are two of the best playmakers in all of the country. So whenever an offense has the football today, you're going to like the show.
The offense lines up at the 41 with a 1st and 10. Picked off, and the opening drive is stopped with an interception. He couldn't quite get loose on that return, but he'd already made the play, and they've got it at the 35.
That is the perfect start for a defense that has really struggled against the pass this season. They're in the bottom portion, okay? Have struggled, but opening drive, making a statement. Maybe this creates some momentum. Maybe this turns the tide for this defense.
Couldn't ask for better starting field position for this offense. Off the play fake on 1st down, wants to throw. Quarterback can't pull the trigger, and down he goes at the 41.
Play-action pass success has a lot to do with selling that fake. You could tell defense was not buying it, got in the backfield, got the big play.
And the Cougars have put themselves in dire straits after that last play. It's 2nd and a mile. Looking to fire. Makes the grab. And he's able to bounce off one tackle for a solid pickup. Things look great with that field position a few plays ago, but now it's 3rd and 6. Makes the grab on the left. Doesn't quite make it to the 1st down marker. He's a yard short. Trying to keep the drive alive. Makes his man miss. The tackle is made, but he's got it 1st and goal from the 6. On the doorstep of cashing it in for the offense. A 1st down run in the red zone. Makes a stop in the backfield. He'll lose 4. Defense rolls up deep in its own end on that last play. Now a 2nd and long coming. And the pass is complete, but less than nothing to show for it. They're knocked down behind the line. It's 3rd and goal and a long way from the end zone. Throws to the wideout. And the 3rd down pass incomplete after a good deflection by the defense. And now on 4th down, they'll try a field goal. Sometimes you need a little luck off that right up, right and through. And the first points of the day come on that field goal.
And that's not the way they wanted to end the drive, but nice job being ready and your field goal kicker coming through and putting 3 points on the board.
Fielded in the end zone, it's Morton. That gamble did not pay off as they bring him down at the 12-yard line. TCU will send its offense back onto the field. They're going to need to get something started, finding themselves in a 3-0 hole.
Quarterbacks love the short passing game early in games because it really helps them get into a rhythm. So a nice job by the offensive coordinator giving his quarterback an easy throw, something he can see, and something that he knows he can complete.
And just a short, safe pass play, they pick up a few. And the Horned Frogs lining up, just needing a few tough inches on 3rd down. Surging forward on the sneak. From their own 23, it'll be 1st and 10. They go to the ground.
And that's a really nice play. It's impressive. When it's first down and the defense thinks you might be running a football, you still can line up. You can get some movement at the point of attack and find a little crease for your running back.
Quarterback on the keeper. His junior making his presence felt and making the stop after a short gain. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. The Horned Frogs are at the line looking to convert on 3rd and short. They'll snap it from the gun on 3rd down. Complete with conviction on the crosser. They make the stop, but there is a flag on the field. We'll see what that's all about. I know defenders hate quarterbacks and love nothing more than hitting them, but you're hitting yourself in the gut when you get a 15-yard penalty. To the air on 1st down. And the heat gets home. They knock him down back at the 45.
And the defense gets a sack, and that's going to be the big determining factor in this football game. A week ago, he only got sacked 1 time. They've already got him on the ground. If they want to win this football game, they got to keep getting after the quarterback.
And the Horned Frogs trying to find their way forward after the big loss on the last play. Sends it back in motion. Going to sling it on 2nd down. Zings it complete to the right. And they're able to get him on the ground. 7th play of the drive coming up, but a long way to go on 3rd down. Unloads to the wideout. He's got an open man. Good, solid pickup there. Now they can start to smell it with a 1st down at the 31. The give to the back. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that. Got stuffed on 1st down. It's 2nd and 10. Pulls it and fires to the left. They could have used a little bit more there. Pick up a 3. It's 3rd and 7. Trying to pick up a 1st down. Trying to move the sticks on 3rd down through the air. Got his man. That'll be enough to give them a 1st and goal from the 10. The Horned Frogs come to the line with a new set of downs. The give to the tailback. They'll knock him down for a loss of a couple. Operating in the red zone here on 2nd down. Back to pass. Into the end zone. Touchdown, TCU! Grabbed in the end zone and put 6 on the board.
One of the areas they really focused on with this receiver in the offseason was we need you to make more plays for us in the end zone. When we're taking shots, we need you to be able to step up and make tough catches. David, what a grab right there.
And I think a lot of that has to do with trusting your guy, knowing where he's going to be, knowing when he's going to sit down, when he's not. So being on the same page, and then having a guy that can go get it. Just when the ball is near him, he's going to make the play, just like he did right there for 6 points.
Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. He'll bring it back from inside his 5. He was hoping for something a little more dynamic, but they get him on the ground at the 20. Houston sending the offense back onto the field. Out of the chute, quick toss to the right. Didn't pick up a lot there, moved it forward just a few. They're dealing with a 2nd and long. Off-play action. Got his man quickly. Got room at the 35. He goes out of bounds, maybe a step shy of the 40. They're going to mark it at the 39, and a really nice pickup there. Wants to throw on 1st down. Extending the play. He got enough for the 1st down before sliding, but there is a marker on the field. It might be coming back.
Hold on.
A very productive play until it was wiped out by that penalty, and they'll go back to work. Here's the snap, ready to cut one loose. Finds his tight end. And good coverage by the defense, just a short gain. They'll line up for a 2nd down play. Looking to throw again. And he was hit just as he was releasing the pass, and it falls to the ground incomplete. Couldn't quite make the connection, now staring at a third down. He hurls one deep down the left side. And this is dropped. Incomplete pass. He had a huge gain in his fingers, and he couldn't hold on. Punt is in the air. He makes the fair catch, and they'll spot the ball at the 18. So they start this drive from inside their own 20 at the 19-yard line. Looking to throw on first down. Trying to make magic with his feet. He'll get it up to about the 32-yard line before he stopped, and it'll be first down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. Off the play fake on first down. Fires to the wideout. And the physical play there forces the incompletion on first down. Behind the chains now on second and long. Misfired on the last play. They'll go back to the air. It's complete to the right. They're able to get him stopped just shy of the first down mark. And the Horned Frogs are at the line looking to convert on third and short. Grabbed in the backfield. It's Potts. Oh, he didn't get there, and what a stop against an offense that's been magnificent on third down. First one's on its way. The leg ought to be strong. Only called on twice in the victory last week. Excellent coverage that time. Didn't give him any room to set up a big return. We've reached the break, and TCU is holding the lead. And we've reached the end of one. Before we move on, let's take a look at our stats so far. Lots of time left, and we're ready to get back to it and open the second period. First play of the period, first down here. Coming out on first down with the play fake. And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage. Backed up now, here's second and long. Wants to go up top.
I like the idea by the quarterback there. You're trying to get this first down, so you find the tight end, see if he can make a guy miss or shake a tackle. Not able to get it done.
On third and long, he's going to have to throw for it. Found enough room to cross the 25 and out to the 27-yard line. That's not enough to move the chains. It'll be fourth down. Punt is on its way. He'll wave for the fair catch and haul it in at the 25. TCU has it back, and the Horned Frogs go on offense. They missed an opportunity to extend this lead the last time they had it, Jesse.
Yeah, they got to be able to regain that momentum, right? Go back to what was working earlier on in this one. And, David, to me, that starts with being the more physical team.
Oh, I definitely agree. Being the more physical team, but understanding the situation of the game. You're still winning. You got the football back. Now put a nice drive together and execute.
Makes the grab along the sidelines, and they get enough for the first down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. They'll move the tight end. Wants to go up top on first down. They'll throw it to the back on the screen. Didn't have much room to run and not a whole lot of help. Short gain there and still plenty of ground to cover for the first down. He'll do it himself. Oh, he's got some space. Perhaps a touchdown-saving tackle at the 17.
Man, this defense has to be better. You have to stop the first part of the option, and that is the quarterback. And he gets loose. He gets the first down, another set of downs. They need to figure out this plan and how to stop this quarterback.
Use the play fake. Now to throw. And the rush will get to him at the 25.
When it's a play-action pass, that quarterback, he really has to sell the fake. He can't tell his offensive lineman's getting beat right away while he's selling the fake. He had no shot.
The Horned Frogs with a long way to go after the loss on the last play. Back to pass on second down. He's got him. And they bring him down quickly, but a good gain there. They've got it right on the edge of the red zone, but they face a third and long. Looking to throw, and he needs a bunch. It's complete on the right side. He's brought down right at the 13-yard line. Still a ways to go to make it to the line to gain. Let's see what they do on fourth. Absolutely perfect. Now up by 7 points here in the second.
And you want a touchdown and you want to be aggressive, but man, right down the middle, that obviously gives me some confidence down the road that I can trust this guy.
So after putting 3 on the board, the kickoff team is out there ready to boot it away. Here he comes from inside his own 5. Continues to fight for yards. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. The Houston offense comes onto the field. They've been pretty much stifled on offense so far, David, only able to muster 3 points in their previous 3 drives.
And you got to find a way to open this up and create some explosive plays. The passing game is obviously the easiest way. Jesse, put more speed on the field. Find those guys down the field.
Breaks into the open. And he's to the 48-yard line. That'll be good enough for a first down.
And as a defense, how scary is it having to defend this guy? He's one of the fastest players in America, and you saw it on that last play. It's not necessarily throwing him the ball over your head. They just get it to him quickly. The hard part now is running and tackling that guy. Not easy to do.
They're working that left side. Good pick up, a little bit short of the sticks. The Cougars can really attack on this second and short. He'll pull it on the read. And they'll stop him just short of the first down, just inches away from moving the sticks. He'll keep it on the sneak. They knock him down, but he's got enough to get it across the line and pick up the first down. Looking downfield on first down. Fires to the big fella. And they pick up just a few on that completion. 6th play of the drive coming up. The play action fake. Fires to the tight end. He's brought down, but it'll be enough for a first down. Houston coming to the line with a new set of downs. They'll leave it with him. They'll pick up 4, 2nd and 6 coming. Trying to pound it on first down, now back to the line. Out of the gun, the running back has it. He stopped at the 14-yard line, and they'll stay on the attack from there. This offense has had trouble getting it in gear, but maybe a little life here on 1st and 10. Leaves it with the running back. And this one will be stopped for no gain. Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. Going to work on 2nd down in the red zone, and still some ground to cover to pick up that first down. Trying to surprise him with the pass. Got his man on the right. That completion takes him down to the 7-yard line, and they are ready to strike. Not a lot of ground to cover and not much to defend. A big 3rd down in the red zone. Rushes on him. And down goes the quarterback. There are penalty flags down, but it looks as if this might be on the offense. This defense happy with how that last play turned out, so they'll decline the penalty. And they're going to head out to line up for a field goal. Never a doubt. That'll bring him to within 4.
Man, so many more times we're going to say, go for it, be aggressive. Nice to have a guy you can depend on, and you know you're putting 3 on the board. Nice kick, nice job.
After putting up a 3 spot, the kickoff unit set to go. On the run from inside his own 5. Nice job by the kickoff team. Everybody stayed in their lanes, and they'll stop him at the 16. Off-play action on first down. On target over the middle. A quick tackle made, but he's got plenty for the first down. They'll send the back in motion. Looking to throw on first down. Didn't put much on that one, and it's incomplete. So now it's 2nd and long. Floats it out in space. And there were no creases or crevices to run through, and they shove him out of bounds. It'll be 3rd and long. They just keep firing. Just a short pass to the tight end. Really nice job there to pick up the first down and get it to their own 41. And the Horned Frogs are moving quickly down the field. To the air on 1st down. And this will be incomplete. A big hit there forces 2nd down. Couldn't make the connection last time. Let's see if they throw it again. 2nd down, he'll throw it. Looking to the big tight end. Complete downfield. Stop is made at the 44, but it's a 15-yard gain and a 1st down. Use the play fake, now to throw. Quick strike complete. Nowhere to go and not much to show for that one. They'll take this lead to the 2-minute timeout and see if they can tack on a little more before the break. And now on 2nd down for this offense. From the gun, running back on the move. And the defense holds firm. No pickup at all on that play. He'll set up to throw. Got his man out of the backfield. Just what they'd hoped for on 3rd down as they've got a first at the 32. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. From the gun, they'll try to impose their running game. Stop is made at the 22. A 10-yard pickup and a 1st down just outside the red zone. From the shotgun, they'll run it. There he goes. Really good job by everybody there. Well blocked, good run, and a 1st down. Here's a timeout on the field. Tight game here late in the 1st half. Keeping it on the ground on 1st and 4. And he'll finish the run in the end zone. Touchdown, Horned Frogs!
And how big is that for this offense? Put a nice drive together, get the touchdown, add to this lead already. Everything right now, Palmer, going their way.
Yeah, that was as good a 2-minute type situation as you could have offensively. And David, they've got so many weapons on this offense. They practice these situations all the time, and they put it to work here at the end of the 1st half.
And with the extra point, they push the lead out a little further. They're ready to kick it away, and this crowd is buzzing after that last score. He'll start the return inside his 5. Nice job by the kickoff team. Everybody stayed in their lanes, and they'll stop him at the 16. They'll get a chance to work on that hurry-up offense here in the final minute of the 1st half. Grabbed behind the line. It's Meredith. Not a whole lot of room there on that screen pass as it just never developed.
Love the execution there on the screen. The running back shows pass protect. Last second turns around, so he's able to get the ball. The D linemen have already run past him. Now he can turn upfield for a big gainer.
Throws to the tight end. And the pass is incomplete, jarred loose by the hit. The Cougars come to the ball trying to pick up this 3rd and short. From the gun, wants to pass. Using the quick game. He's going to have enough to pick up the 1st down as they stop him at the 33-yard line. The offense calls a timeout to stop the clock. It's complete to the left. At midfield, he's got room. Taken out of bounds after a good pickup there. They're in striking distance at the 37. Houston getting set, looking at 1st and 10. Wants to throw on 1st down. Quickly out to the tight end. He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage. That's going to wrap up the 1st half here. And now we join Kevin with the halftime update.
Fellas, you've been calling a first-rate game so far today in Fort Worth. And yes, football is a game of inches, but man, is that really the case when you consider the length of some of these possessions. Look, I'm not an analytics guy, but I do know this. The team that sustains drives and just moves the sticks might be the team that comes out on top today. With that said, let's send it back to the guys at Amon G. Carter Stadium.
The Horned Frogs will kick it off to start the second half. From a couple of yards deep, he'll bring it out. I know he thinks he can house every return, but sometimes you just have to take a knee as he stopped at the 14. First play of the drive, wants to throw. And that incomplete pass caused by the big hit on first down. Second down coming.
This is a top 25 defense, guys. One of the best units in the entire country. They're so good situationally, and they understand the importance of getting leads early, making the offense predictable, having to throw in these types of situations so they can adjust accordingly. And that's what they're doing right now. Their coverage is being dictated by the scoreboard. They're going to make it really, really hard on this quarterback here in the second half to throw any completions.
Caught behind the line. It's Meredith. Really nice job to get it past the sticks, pick up the first down at the 30. Passing game kept this drive moving. Let's see if they try it again. Steaming into the backfield to make the stop, and he'll lose 4. And the Cougars now with a long way to go to pick up the first down. Second down, they'll go to the air. And they can't make the connection, and it could get worse. A penalty flag on the field, and it's in the holding zone. Let's get the call. Holding penalties, the ultimate drive killer. We'll see if it costs this offense here. To the air on second down. Fires on the move. Got his man. Corralled and brought down by the defense. And this offense just has to find a way to convert this third down, or else they are really in trouble. Fires left. Working a little foot magic on the sidelines, and it'll be enough for the first down. He finally goes out of bounds, but you better check that laundry on the field. A solid gain on that one, and it goes for naught as the penalty will back them up. On third and long, you'll have to turn it loose deep. Right on the money. At the 40, there he goes. A huge play, and they get it all the way to the 45-yard line.
Well, I know they're losing right now, but they're not going to be losing for long if they keep hitting shots like that. And I love the idea here, taking a shot to your best player on offense. This guy is one of the biggest playmakers in all of college football. Tremendous speed. He locates the ball, makes a catch, and that play gives this offense so much confidence.
And a nice solid pickup there before the defense wrestles him to the ground. The Cougars with a second and short to keep this drive moving. Looking to fire. Makes a connection. Perhaps a touchdown-saving tackle at the 17. Line gets set, first down. From the red zone, looking for a man. Makes the grab. And he motors into the end zone. Touchdown, Cougars!
Quarterback's abilities to read the field is huge, and also the anticipation, the timing. To be able to throw the football, Jesse, and hit a guy in stride so he can get run after the catch and get in the end zone, that was a nice job by the quarterback.
Yeah, it's critical, Dave. And listen, a lot of times touchdown passes aren't thrown into the end zone. You've got to read the coverage, hit the open guy, and let him do the rest.
He's looking to throw. Caught in the backfield, it's Gee. He's not quite going to get there, and the try for two fails, and they are unable to cut into this lead any further. On the move from inside his 5. Nice job by the kickoff team. Everybody stayed in their lanes, and they'll stop him at the 16. TCU will send its offense back onto the field. Here's a heat, and the quarterback goes down at the 11-yard line.
that's the thing about this defense. Yeah, they may be losing the game right now, but they've got difference makers on that side of the football. They got guys that can step up like that, create havoc, get a sack, create negative plays. They're going to need more of that here in the second half if they're going to win this game.
Give to the back. Good pickup on the ground there. Give him 5 to the 16-yard line. You make up the game plan and not a lot on the play sheet for this. 3rd and long from inside their own 20. They've got the screen set up. He ended up going backwards on the play, and they will not convert that 3rd down. He gets it away from his own end zone. Returns like that are why you don't settle for the fair catch if you don't have to. Picks up just a little bit of yards to help out the O. Looking to throw on 1st down. Working that left side now. They make the stop, trying to pick up just a little bit at a time to get to that 1st down mark. Wide receiver going in motion. Trying play action. And the pass is incomplete thanks to a big hit. Looking to pick up a 1st down on 3rd and short from the 43. From the gun, wants to pass. Looking deep down the right side. Couldn't quite haul it in. They almost had their first pick here late in the game. Houston will be forced to punt. The punt goes out of bounds, and a nice job to get them backed up. I think they'll spot it right around the 15. TCU has it back, and the Horned Frogs go on offense. Leaves it with the back. Nice move there.
You want to make play calling easy for an offensive coordinator? Run the ball like that every play. I mean, when you can run that on 1st down and set up a short yardage on 2nd down, it makes play calling easy. Every single call on that sheet is available here on 2nd down.
And the Horned Frogs are at the line looking to convert on 3rd and short. They've got it 1st and 10 from the 25. Use the play fake, now to throw. Lofts one high and deep. Picked off. They bring him down, but that great defensive play might be overturned. Let's see what the call is. They cannot believe it. A great play on the interception is wiped away with the roughing the passer call. One running back in the backfield, and he has it. This freshman makes the stop after a short gain. Didn't get much on 1st down. It's 2nd and 9. The pull and throw off the RPO. He's brought down quickly. Minimal gain there. Still a bit short of the 1st down. The Horned Frogs come to the line on 3rd and short, looking to keep the drive moving. They'll go to the air on 3rd and short. Gets it out fast. That'll get the job done and move the chains, and they'll mark the ball at the 45. And the Horned Frogs have it with a 1st and 10. To the ground with the back. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that. Didn't get much on 1st down. It's 2nd and 9. Now the play fake. That, friends, is a busted play. Incomplete. Now facing a 3rd and long. From the gun, wants to pass. And the defense will corral the quarterback, and down he goes at midfield.
Oh, it's a missed opportunity. You know the quarterback was excited. He saw man coverage. He thought he was going to have an opportunity to come up with a big play, but up front they could not protect him well enough.
The Horned Frogs send out the punt unit. He'll try to really get into this one. That ball will make its way out of bounds, and they'll mark it dead at the 15. The Houston offense ready to go back to work. They hope to be able to cash in on this drive, David, after having to punt it last time.
Yeah, and I think this offense needs to start it with the first play. You need to be successful and productive on that first play, and it gets you in less predictable situations.
No doubt, too. Don't you just feel like there's a little bit more sense of urgency on this drive? It just feels like they've got to be able to put some points up on the board.
They stop him almost immediately. Short gain there, and still a little ground covered to pick up the first. In the gun and looking to throw on third down. Finds the tight end. They'll make the stop about a yard short of the first down. The kick is on its way. No return coming here as he signals for the fair catch and makes it right around the 30-yard line. Let's see what they have dialed up as this drive starts from the 29-yard line. Running back searching for a hole. They knock him down after he picks up 5 out to the 34. Halfway there on first down, it's 2nd and 5. Power football with the run. They push it out to the 39 after picking up 5. They'll snap it from the 39, 1st and 10. Wants to go up top on first down. Flips it out on the screen. He's brought down, but there's a flag on the play. Let's see if it stands.
Personal foul.
A late hit moves the ball up 15 yards. The offense comes back out with a new set of downs after the penalty. One back in the backfield, he gets to carry. He works his way down to the 30-yard line before he stopped a gain of 3. That's the end of the quarter, and TCU has the lead. Let's take a quick look at the national rankings to see how this playoff race is shaping up. When you're dealing with a deficit like this, it's all about somebody stepping up to make a play, and you might as well start here in the 4th quarter. Got a little space. Turning it on. Dragged down, but they'll move the sticks for a first down. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. And the Horned Frogs are flying down the field. They'll try the run. He's tackled right at the 10-yard line, and they're trying to cash in on this drive. It'll be 2nd down, and remember, they can pick up a first without scoring. The give to the back. And he'll race it to the house. Touchdown, TCU!
And that is a drive and a score they absolutely had to have. Now making it a 2-possession game late in this one. It wasn't going to be enough to just play it safe, play it conservative, punt the ball away, and count on your defense. They were aggressive. They mixed it up, but getting that score, that is huge for their win probability now.
He'll try to tack on one more. And with the extra point, the lead is a dozen here in the 4th. So that scoring drive took only 6 plays. And the capper on that drive, the 10-yard touchdown run. Here he comes with the return. Really disciplined job by the coverage unit to get down there and make the stop at the 19. Here comes the Houston offense once again. They really didn't move the ball at all the last time they had it, and hoping for better fortune this time around. Caught, and he's close to a first down on the nice pickup there. The Cougars in a good spot here with 2nd and short. They'll go to the ground. Shoots his way for more. Out across the 30 to the 39 after getting 10 on that one. From the 39-yard line, it's 1st and 10. Motion from the wide receiver. Wants to throw on first down off the play fake. Snagged out of the air. And they're able to force him out of bounds after a short pickup. Working well behind the sticks on 2nd down. back to pass. He's picked off, and he's thrown a dozen of them. Picked up a few extra on that return, but what a play by this defense to get the football.
It doesn't get any better for your defense. You know exactly the situation in the fourth quarter. Everything in your favor. Don't let them make big plays. How about you make a big play? Nice job getting the interception. It's not icing on the cake yet, but it's getting pretty close.
TCU will send its offense back onto the field. Motion from the wideout. He wants to start this drive with a pass. Swings it out to his running back. And a good job of coverage by that defense, just a short pickup. After that last completion, it's second down. The run from the shotgun. This freshman makes the stop after a short gain. The Horned Frogs really need to keep this drive alive on third down. They'll try to pick up the first through the air. He's got his man, makes the grab. Really putting together a threat now. They get the first, it's at the 37. Motion from the back. The defense wouldn't let him loose, and even though it's a completion, they lost yardage. And the Horned Frogs have put themselves in dire straits after that last play. It's second and a mile. Wants to go up top. Throws to the wideout. He's got it. Hauled down, but they'll move the sticks as he picks up the first down. The Horned Frogs come to the line with a fresh set of downs. From the shotgun, the inside give. Picked up 2 yards on that last one. They need 8 on second down. They'll run play action. Unloads it left. Makes the catch. Works his way to the 4-yard line, and they'll have it first and goal. They'll try to get it in with the run.
It's going to be tough sledding for the offense here. They're trying to ice this game by running the football and bleeding the clock. They've got a pretty good lead here late in the game, but the defense knows the run's coming, right? So they're going to be loading the line of scrimmage, getting stops like what...
And he gets there, and they get him down at the 14-yard line.
Quarterback now has to make sure his guys are dialed in. You can't make any more mistakes. Giving up a negative play on second down by the goal line, you've got to be really smart with this football.
Now on third and goal, and that earlier sack left them with more ground to cover. He's looking downfield to throw. And the misfire goes out of the back of the end zone. So they'll send out the field goal unit. That thing would have hit a string in the middle of the uprights. Perfect. And now the lead's extended a little further.
And listen, y'all know in the booth and everywhere how I feel about kickers. Don't always love leaving it on their foot, so to speak, but nice job executing. He keeps doing stuff like that. I'll keep trotting him out there.
And he takes this from inside the 5. Couldn't find a way to create that broken field as he stopped at the 25. Houston sending the offense back onto the field. Last drive ended with a pick, but you still have to attack through the air. Firing to the right, complete. They stop him just a link or two short of the first, and man, what they can do on second down here. Quickly to the tight end. They bring him down, but not before he's able to pick up the first down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. Pulls and fires complete. And the defense had that one well covered, just a short gain there. Well, will they dial up on second and a long way to go? Gonna look downfield again. Caught in the backfield, it's Meredith. He gets it past the first down marker, and a really nice job to set up that screen and move the sticks. Use the play fake, now to throw. Makes the grab on the left. They've got it inside the 30. They'll mark it at the 28. It's first down. They'll run it from the gun. Gets it past the marker. Big pickup on the ground here to keep this drive moving and give them a first down. And the Cougars pounded the rock to move the sticks, now back to work. They get him down, but he was driving his way and gets it down to the 7-yard line. Going to work in the red zone, they can't pick up the first down without getting it into the end zone. He's got it. Couldn't quite nudge it in. Not sure you could get much closer, but it'll be first and goal. They want to throw it. Steps away to find some room. And he'll step into the end zone. Touchdown, Houston. Hello. He didn't see anyone open. Said, no problem. I'll take care of it myself.
Yeah, I've been there before. Been there, done that. Not my first rodeo. I've been in this kind of situation. Down by the goal line, I'm getting outside, and I'm taking it in myself.
And with the lead sitting at 9, they'll try to make it a one-possession game. And the PAT will draw them 1 point closer. 76 yards on the drive for the touchdown, and close the deal with a 3-yard touchdown run. And it'll be a touchback. The ball will come out to the 25-yard line. TCU has it back, and the Horned Frogs go on offense. And now that cushion is a little bit smaller, Jesse, and any mistake would get magnified.
Yep.
And the quarterback goes down. There is a penalty flag on the field, but I think the defense might have the option just to take this play. So the penalty will not be enforced. The defense declines and stands on the result of the play. Second down, they'll go to the air. Unloads to the wideout. Complete to the right. And he's going to be taken down, but there's a penalty flag on the field. This offensive line trying anything to protect the quarterback at this point. Nothing's working, and they'll back up after the holding penalty. Wants to fire on second down. That's caught. It's Potts. And he's wrestled to the ground. This defense has kept them backed up. Now one more stop, and they can get off the field on 3rd and long. Looking downfield, and he needs a bunch. Finds a man in the middle. Quick timeout called by the defense, stopping the clock to save as much time as possible for their offense. The give, and tick, 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 tick. Smashes him with the stiff arm. Defense uses a timeout quickly, trying to get that ball back and preserve time for their offense. And the Horned Frogs are marching down the field. Might as well give it to him again. Timeout called there by the defense, desperate to get the ball back and save as much time as possible. Put themselves in a bit of a bind with that last one. It's 2nd and 14. Looking to fire. Caught over the middle. It's Potts. They make the stop, trying to pick up just a little bit at a time to get to that first down marker. We'll head to the 2-minute timeout. Tight ball game here, and this offense will try to milk the clock. On 3rd down, he'll try to pick it up through the air. Makes a man miss. He's got enough for the first down, and that ought to be enough to put them in victory formation for the rest of this one. And the quarterback will just drop to a knee. Sometimes it's just not your day. Things just didn't work, and that seemed to be the case here.
Yeah, they didn't get the W. They didn't do enough. But now you start to think about what could I have done differently? What do I need to become more offensively? Defensively, what can I morph into to make those extra plays, Jesse? That might be the difference in the next game that I play.
Yeah, David, they just need a little bit more. They need a little bit better effort next week. They're going to need better preparation this week in practice. There's no doubt this team has a lot of talent, but we just need a little bit more to ensure that this doesn't happen next week.
That will put the wrap on things from here. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis. You've been watching another presentation of EA Sports College Football.